But I want to start by focusing on the race for Champions League, because the result between Wolves and Aston Villa West is going to have a pretty seismic implication, because Villa have been on a complete free fall throughout February. This is a summary of their results throughout the last 1 month. Just a single win, and that is against Brighton. In the FA Cup as well against Newcastle, they fell to a defeat. Against Leeds, they were held to a 1-1 draw. It's not looking good for Villa. Yeah,
there's been a little bit of dip in form. You can see it's getting a little bit frustrating for the manager there, and it's sort of give everybody else the encouragement to sort of battle on. And obviously, I would say like a month ago, maybe a little bit longer, that third spot was pretty much, taken up by Aston Villa. They were very comfortable. They were playing with, could they get to second, But yeah, I mean, that defeat yesterday, earlier on, was a derby as well. Will be pretty disappointing, I think, for Aston Villa. And they know they're on a dip, and somewhere they're going to have to try and, really get back into form, try and get the confidence back a little bit, because that'll really hamper their season going forward now. And time's ticking. The clock's running out, but they have to find something from somewhere. But the encouragement it's give for all the other teams is tremendous. Yeah.
It's not unique, is it, to just Aston Villa? There's not been a side in the Premier League this season at the top end that hasn't had a dip in form at some stage, and it happens with all clubs. But I think it's how you respond to that dip in form, how you respond to that disappointment, and again, Villa know with the number of games that are still left, they're very much in the mix to certainly get automatic qualification for the Champions League.
I suppose one of the points of concern for Villa, Gary, is, of course, it's got to be goals, because goals seems to have dried up, especially throughout the month of February. They've scored 4 goals in 6 games. Tammy Abraham was brought in exactly to alleviate the burden on Ollie Watkins, but it also hasn't quite kicked into full gear just yet.
Well, Tammy Abrahams has only just arrived, and it can sometimes take time. Watching the game against Wolves, Ollie Watkins was clean through on one occasion in the first half, and he really surprised me, because somehow he tried to finish with the outside of his right foot, when for me it was a left-footed shot across at the far post. Now, this is a defender talking, so you have to bear in mind that maybe I'm not that qualified to say it, but that kind of sums up Villa a little bit at the moment for me. The fact that in front of goal, they're not clinical, and defensively as well, they haven't looked as certain. Even Emi Martinez in goal has looked unsure. For a goalkeeper of his stature, it's surprising.
We've, of course, got to be fair to them as well, Wes, because, for them at this stage of the season to still be third is a phenomenal achievement, especially when you take into consideration how they started the season. They started really, really poorly, and then the revival in fortunes was incredible. But you can understand the frustrations amongst the fan, because when you come so close to the, you're entering March, you're third, and you don't want it all to end in nothing.
Correct, yeah. Listen, they've been exceptional. You have to say that. I don't think anyone would have said, they would be where they are now at the beginning of the season. But this is the tricky part, when we get to the end of Feb, early March, this is where everyone gets a little bit tired, a little bit complacent, and it's the manager's job to try and get that lift again. We've seen Michael Carrick do it at Manchester United. It's about that little boost, that little bit of confidence, and it's going to have to come sooner rather than later for Aston Villa, because I do feel at this time the confidence levels have really dropped. You can see it on a couple of the players' faces. They probably really expected to beat Wolves there, who were playing with no fear. They probably understand that they more than often they're going to get relegated now, but they turned up, that they were playing football, and the pressure, it's all about the pressure and the mentality. Can they just get over that line to think we're still a good team? Listen, we're in third position in a great league. Can we still get that confidence going again and get playing well? But like you said, the goals, I mean, Rodgers, they depended on him quite a lot to get a few goals. Once that slows down, can other players sort of join in and help?
It's all about momentum, isn't it, Gary, at this stage of the season? And before we wrap up this conversation, very briefly though, who do you reckon, who would you pick as the one that is in danger of potentially slipping out of that top 5 out of the Champions League positions?
I suppose if you have a look at Chelsea, they are quite inconsistent, and also they have a very young squad and a young team. And I always feel that towards the vital end few games of a season, that experience and know-how and knowledge, speak to Wes about that, to be honest with you, how to ultimately stay calm, trust in yourself and get the job done. So maybe for me it's Chelsea that look as if they could slide and fall a little bit short.